Welcome to Making It Gaming, and today's review, given we've had a lot of interest in me covering older sports games, we're going to go through all the sports games, doing one per day for the next couple weeks in my gaming library, which isn't a whole lot, because that's not the primary type of game I play, nor do I really follow sports at all either. However, the sports games are pretty fun to play, especially if you have another person to play them with. So we're going to kind of pick and choose some here and there to cover from a variety of platforms. So far I've covered a football game, I've covered a baseball game, so we're going to go on to a basketball game, which I could have done NBA Jam or NBA Live, whichever one that I have in the collection currently. If I decided I'd pick an older game that I played as a kid, it's NCAA Basketball, which in Europe was known as World League Basketball. It's developed by Sculptured Software for the Super Nintendo. It's the first basketball game on a console to use a 3D perspective, and it uses Nintendo's Mode 7, which was all the hype at the time. NHL Stanley Cup also featured a similar effect. According to short-lived Flux magazine in the US, this video game was declared to be the 75th best video game of all time. The game was released in North America on October 1992, was released in Japan and Europe around the same time. You have single player and multiplayer. And for the most part, to the present day, the reviews are mixed. There's people that love this game, people that say it plays horribly, and then most of the reviews fall towards the above average to good, bordering very good review range. So like the 60 to 80 range is where the bulk of reviews lie. So we're going to go ahead and play a game. Let's go ahead and transition over. Get the sound going. A neat little effect here. Got your Super Nintendo music that was common for the time. So yeah, one-player exhibition, two-player exhibition. Start a season, continue to save game, and there are team statistics. Obviously, given it's college basketball, there's not real player names. So we're going to do a one-player exhibition. You do have 5 conferences to choose from. You do not have the Big Ten since they couldn't secure that license. And you have a couple conferences which no longer exist. Actually, it's possible. I know at least 2 out of the 5 don't exist anymore. At least not in the form as on here. And then the ones that do exist have different teams in them. So not a single conference in this game is accurate as of today. So what we're going to do... Alright, I'm from Indiana. Is there an Indiana team on this? There would not be. So what are we going to do? Is there a single college that I've taken a class at or anything? Is there a single college I was accepted to? Well, it doesn't. Okay, so we'll just pick 2 well-known teams. We'll pick North Carolina. And our opponent will be, let's see, just in case I get killed, we'll pick it. We'll do Texas Tech. You can sit 6 minutes, 12 minutes, or 20 minutes for the length of the half. You have the difficulty settings here. The players do get fatigued. They do have varying stats. And you do have the standard positions. start off with the jump ball from this setting, and obviously so you have one button that changes the player, you have block, you have steal. The game does play a bit sluggish. It is a bit choppy. Let's say you want to shoot a 3 with the center. Probably a bad idea. The center more than likely isn't good at 3s. However, if you can get open with a point guard, that wasn't as good. There we go. It is highly pixelated, and the movement is a bit choppy. But it does actually play surprisingly good enough to make for an enjoyable game. There's much worse basketball games out at the time. There's no fans. This is just a floating court. The court does turn, so you're always looking. You're always lined up for baskets in the middle of your line of sight. That was pretty sad. There you go. Just hit a 3. It makes a good enough sound when it... Sound effects are good enough. They are basic. But it's believable. There we go. Now we got the lead in this game. Press select and go to coach's team, team options, substitute players. Change players. You can change them. You can switch defender on pass, fast break, crash the boards. You can actually save mid-game, which is kind of fun. A lot of games make you wait till the end of the game to save. You can change the plays. And if you pick a team that's better, you actually do feel like it's a better team. They will perform, they'll hit more shots, they'll be a bit quicker, at least individual players. Now chasing after a rebound does, because of the choppy animations, does get to be a bit tricky. And at times it just seems like the steals just kind of happen. Basically through the player in between the ball. There's a player between where you and the ball basically will just turn to a steal, and then the perspective switches around, so the whichever team has the ball, the basket's always they're always facing their own basket. And they're always facing the team that has the ball is always facing their own basket.
Foul by point guard.
You do have an announcer, and it's crisp enough. Actually more crisp than a lot of sound you'll find on 16-bit platforms. But really, given all the sports games that are out there, including one specific to NCAA Basketball, to choose from, the question is this game, where's this game rank? Well, it's still a fun game in short bursts. It would take some serious effort to actually go through a whole season of that game, given the animations are quite choppy and the controls seem a bit delayed at times. But it's still better than most of the other basketball games out at the time. It was probably actually one of the best basketball games out at this time. One of the best yet, definitely one of the best. I don't know if I'd go as far as to say the best. I'd have to see which basketball games were out at the time. But saying it's one of the best, that's definitely not out of the question. But when you have to compare it to all the games that are actually on the market, how well the game itself has held up over time, it really isn't that great of a game. Overall, it's a pretty mediocre game. It's playable. It's an interesting piece of history to see the first 3D perspective basketball game on a 16-bit console. It's interesting to see how they used Mode 7. They actually used Mode 7 in such a way where it actually helped with immersion in a game, and having all the statistics and being able to save mid-game, having actual college logos and everything in the game do help. At the end of the day, it is a choppy, mediocre basketball game. And as far as the numerical score, it definitely it goes in the 3 out of 5 category. So, where does it go on our list thus far? Let's take a look. In this game, this is one of those games, it's a sports game. You can get it for practically nothing. So whatever you'd end up having to pay for it would be worth it. And if you paid, as far as paying a price within a reasonable price range that would be expected. It's something you could pick up at a video game shop for less than $5 easily. And if they're charging more than $5 for it, I would be asking some questions. That'd be a bit of a ripoff. So where do we put on our list? Well, it is better than Tommy Was Sort of Baseball on the Genesis. It's a better game than Bless Online. Is it a better game than 18 Wheels of Steel? It's a better game than Zero Tolerance. Let's see. I'd say it's worse than Mario Tennis on the Virtual Boy. Better than Zero Tolerance on the Genesis. Given how sluggish the game can be at times, and how many other basketball games are out now, it is tough to give this anything. I did switch over to some letter grades on there to help differentiate the 3s, the 4s, and the 5s. Each of the specific numbers from each other. The ones within. Given at the moment, the 3 category has Need for Speed Most Wanted at the top, and All-Star Slam and D-Ball at the bottom, and there is quite a gap between those 2 games. So I've added the letter grades. There's just... This is a game that... It's a C grade. It just... I'd say the choppiness of the game gives it the minus. So we're going to give it a C minus. Put it at the 18th slot out of 33 games on our list. Actually, wait a second. Guess that'd be 19th slot on our list out of 33 games. 34 games, I believe. Adding this one. Actually, yeah, the list I'm working off of, I didn't add the new games onto. Well, anyways, it's on the low side of average. If you have a Super Nintendo and enjoy basketball games, pick it up. It's in the top half of the Super Nintendo basketball games. It is an important piece of history given its 3D perspective during the year it was released, as well as its usage of Mode 7. Hope you enjoyed the review. Please like, subscribe, and have a great day.